This time, Backroads is heading to northwest Queensland. We're off to the outback and the Cloncurry Shire.
I'm Kristy O'Brien. I usually report for Landline and ABC News in the Northern Territory. I grew up on the Darling Downs in southeast Queensland. My family's cattle property is tiny compared to the huge stations around Cloncurry.
This is a land of extremes. A record breaker of days above 40 degrees.
Well, they call it the curry because it's bloody hot.
This vast landscape is big cattle country. And it abounds with hidden treasures and magical places. The locals work hard and play hard.
Yeah, well, I would have liked to have got off it a bit earlier. That's for sure.
Day-to-day life in such a remote region brings extra challenges.
You're more distant. You have lesser resources, you have lesser opportunities.
And sometimes disaster.
None of us had any idea of the magnitude that was coming.
But hard times can also turn up creative solutions.
Be free with the paintbrush.
It's important for anyone at any time to just put tools down and come together.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It is tough going out here. They've been knocked down so many times. It makes me wonder, how do they keep getting back up?
Hey, buddy, you ready? Ready for a big day?
Luke Chaplin is a fifth-generation grazier and a born stockman. He knows a bit about staying in the saddle.
Luke, how you going?
Kristy, how are you?
Good to meet you.
Welcome to the curry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What are all these horses up to today?
So, we've got a bronc school happening. If you'd like to join in, that's fine. We've got a fair few spots available.
Oh, look, I don't think it'd end very well, Luke.
Okay, great. No, these are our athletes. These are the broncs. Come this afternoon. They'll be bucking in the arena.
The horses are bred or selected for their natural ability to throw riders off. And they're here to give some aspiring rodeo stars the ride of their lives.
Grab it here and just go over and I kind of hold it there.
It's a journey Luke knows well. What started as a childhood dream has taken him across the world.
Here we go! Woo!
His impressive list of saddle bronc titles includes Australian championships and one in Canada.
We've got a happy cowboy. Hey, let me know that I'm sponsor Luke Chaplin. This is none other than Luke Chaplin. Hey, come on, Cloncurry, put your hands. They're going to be a local hometown cowboy.
No, I reckon that's all right.
Luke's now sharing those skills with others.
You can go too far back where you're not really in control, you know, and you can kind of be too far forward. These fellas here are part of a very small group, you know, very elite group of crazy people that'll get on these animals. Kind of push your arms straight, engage, tuck your chin, and then if you just hold that. Okay, and then, so I still squeeze quite tight, but I'm getting some good squeeze. Hold it, I'm lifting.
The community's chipped in for this workshop because it's also about mental fitness.
There's no such thing as failure. We're all helping each other out the Aussie way, helping out your mates. because there's quite a lot of things that are out of your control, and I think that's for life in general. Analyse it, think about what you can do better, be positive.
Come back stronger.
Oh, yeah, just go hard and, yeah, get on a wild buck jumper. Breathing, everything's fresh and ready. Good.
Sounds like good advice. I think I'll give it a go.
I've got the hat, or hat no cattle, as they say. So what are the rules? What are we aiming for?
Okay, so obviously 8 seconds for a qualified ride.
Okay.
Here we go. Yep. Whoa. Yes. Go hard, don't laugh, and go hard. Yeah. Way. Yeah. Good work. Legends.
I'll stick to the TV and you stick to the horses, I think.
Okay.
I'm heading off to visit Luke's neighbours. They might live next door, but out here, that's about a 1-hour drive. The Curley's families have lived in the outback for 5 generations. And I've arrived to find 3 of those generations are out mustering today.
Caught you on smoko break, have I?
Yeah, that's right. Get a bit of a blow now and again.
Yes. I see it's all hands on deck.
Yes, it certainly is, even down to little Jackson here holding Dad's horse.
I'm holding Dad's horse.
Train them up young.
Oh, definitely. You have to start from the ground floor up, get them ready to look after the station when they get older.
For almost 50 years, the Curleys have worked hard to make their large Brahman stud a reality. As a professional photographer, Jacqueline has recorded it all.
Tell me how you two ended up to be in these yards together, so to speak.
Oh, well, I think I'll let you sort that one out.
Oh, I don't know. She's just a good sort of young girl next door, and I thought she'll do me and
You were neighbours.
amalgamate the 2 properties. It took me a while
Was
to do
it about the properties or the love? That's the question.
Now it's all coming out after all these years.
That'll do me.
By early 2019, the pair were getting ready to hand over the reins to their children.
Our financial position was great. Our country was looking really good. Our cattle were basically where we had wanted to get to our entire life. We were saying, well, right, we're here, we've got it, we've done it.
But Mother Nature had other ideas. In February 2019, after more than 7 years of brutal drought, the heavens opened. But concerns grew as the rain kept coming.
No one had any idea of the magnitude that was going to confront us. It was a cyclone over land. That's what it was. And it created havoc.
A 7-day monsoon drove floodwaters up to 70 kilometres wide and drowned livestock. Those on higher ground, like the Curleys and large parts of Western Queensland, were out of the water. But their cattle died of exposure. The Curleys took to the air to assess the damage. Jacqueline took her camera.
Within a minute of being in the air, I could see dead animals. I just turned off the emotion as much as I could and just documented everything I could.
They didn't bog or anything like that. They just laid down and bloody died. It was just too much for them.
The Curleys lost more than 2,500 head of cattle, plus their calves.
Bye, mate.
By the time the slow-motion disaster had rolled out, more than 500,000 cattle had perished across the lower Gulf and Western regions.
Everyone needed help, and it wasn't really forthcoming because no one knew what was going on. But I thought people need to know what is happening.
One photo had stood out. Jacqueline posted it online. and it went viral. Help poured in.
How do you get back up again?
People have put so much into their whole existence out here, so they're not just going to throw that away. So it's like any other form of grief that you just work your way through and you continue on.
It'll take us 10 years to really get over it, really. That's what it amounts to. And, yeah, as I say, there's not a lot of 10 years left in me. Yeah, nothing else you can do.
I remember those devastating images coming in and thinking, I just don't know how people muster up the strength to keep going. More than a year on, there's certainly still trauma, but there's also this sense of determination that this won't defeat them and they'll come back even stronger.
I'm going to meet a couple who almost accidentally found a way to help the region recover.
I might actually do this a bit tighter.
Susan and Peter Dowling live about an hour back towards town.
Morning, Kristy.
Hi, Kristy, how are you?
Good. Do you have room for one more?
Yeah,
We do.
come on in. This is O.
I hope it's a quiet one.
She's a beauty.
Yep.
Desperate to help after the floods,
That's a start.
the couple and some of their friends set up a GoFundMe campaign using Jacqueline Curley's photograph. $100,000 was raised in the first 4 days.
It catapulted, it went viral worldwide, and it just really depicted the despair.
How much money was it all up?
All up, we've raised 1.3 million.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Extraordinary.
You know, there are people who were in drought themselves that were donating just to help the cause, and yeah, no, it was phenomenal.
It became the Sisters of the North charity. The money went into communities, some of it via text, vouchers that could be spent in local businesses. They called it the Ping of Hope.
Look, I think after a disaster, what people really hang on to is that hope, that they can get through it, survive it. So yeah, the Ping of Hope was basically the message that the recipients would have received.
Money's come through.
The money's here. You can now go to town and just have the ability to go and buy yourself a cup of coffee or get their hair cut. Calf powder to keep their orphan potties alive.
Some landholders had no option but to make the devastating decision to leave the land because the damage was so severe. But for most, recovery had begun. I've discovered that when relief funds are spent locally, there's a ripple effect. So the money Australians gave through Sisters of the North boosted these communities by as much as $4 million. And that was multiplied by all the other groups that stepped up to help, including the one I'm about to meet.
To see the familiar stretch of home.
David Ellis is the flying padre. With his wife, Jeanette, at the controls, he covers an outback area 3 times the size of Victoria.
Southwest of Cloncurry in the Devoncourt area. Juliet Kilo uniform Alpha PC 12
I'd have to say every time we fly is a special time because you get to see this great country and a view that most people don't. These are great salt-of-the-earth people. There's a genuineness and integrity, a wholeness about their lives that's just amazing.
Bit bumpy down here. Yes, a little bit more movement down here.
We talk about being able to put our feet under the table, just to stop and listen, to remind people that they're not on their own out here. But that doesn't mean to say I've hit them over the head with the God stuff, but always willing to have a yarn.
Beautiful.
Hello.
Good
How
day.
you going? Oh, this seems like the ideal way to get around out here.
It beats driving.
David tells me the congregation raised the money to buy this plane through catering and cake stalls.
It wasn't just a matter of some rich person putting their hand into their pocket. It was the community saved up enough to buy the plane to help us on our way. But the really special times, I think, are celebrating the life events. Baptising a baby, the back of beyond, or weddings. And even the funerals are pretty special up here because people know the hard stories and they don't shy away from the reality. Often it's the way up here people will say, oh, look, I'm doing okay, but you really should check out my neighbour, or you should really check out so-and-so down the road. And so you listen around and try and see where you're best able to be used.
How do people just keep getting back up?
Well, I think some of it is just the attitude to life in the first place. You don't come up these ways if you haven't got a willingness to face a challenge.
I can see how important the flying padre is to people out here. They might go for weeks without seeing another person. But I'm surprised to learn the service has been in the outback since the Australian Inland Mission, now Frontier Services, was kicked off in 1912 under Presbyterian minister and innovator John Flynn. His work led to the creation of the Royal Flying Doctor Service.
So the Royal Flying Doctor Service started here in Cloncurry?
Right here in Cloncurry, first flights and trial flights came out of Cloncurry.
What was there before that?
They'd walk or ride a horse for days and find the nearest telegraph station, which wasn't very close.
David tells me another Australian invention changed everything. The Traeger radio was pedal-powered, and they have one here.
I think we should get you to pedal to show how fast you have to pedal to make a transmission.
Ooh, here we go.
You're about the speed you would be doing. Look
oh,
at that.
wow. I'm
And
going
at the
to
same
keep doing
time,
it and
you've got
talking.
to make sure you've tuned into the right channel, that you can hear them, and you're listening to what the doctor says in reply.
Yeah, OK, I would have perished. It's hard work.
It is. But for the people of the bush at the time, that was like getting a mobile phone connection.
Wow.
You could call up and you could get help.
I can just imagine how these inventions changed life in the outback. Suddenly, people were no longer alone. They were connecting to each other and to the future. I'm heading along the Cloncurry River to meet someone who's connecting to the past for the same reasons.
Today we're just gonna be doing some kangaroo tails, cook on the fire and that there.
Ron Major is known by everyone out here as Hombre. He tells the stories of his ancestors who've been here for tens of thousands of years.
Give it a whirl.
That big one.
Ah, big piece.
We're Bayamara people. We're the Cloncurry River people, and that's what we do. We live with the river. We hunt the river, fish, camp. It's a place where we can come out, teach some of the younger kids a bit more about our culture. So this is a soap bottle that we use to clean our hands. Just wash it in.
Oh, it actually soaps up.
It soaps up.
That's amazing. Look at that. It's really soapy.
We've got to have a story to each and everything that we do out here in the bush. If we haven't got a story to tell these kids, then they cannot tell stories. So we just got to keep that strong. They need to know their identity because, I say, their ancestors have lived. They just shoot up on any tree.
Poppy, Poppy!
Yes. It is a healing place where we can come and talk. Got it. Just spend time with their families. Oh, got it. Yay. You did it. You did it. We have the Kuratilla there, that's their dreaming. He's an eagle hawk. They're flying over to see what we are doing on their country. They're very sticky-backed birds.
The stories that Hombre shares have carried beyond the town and have even influenced an artist who has become a mate.
Hey, bro.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, good.
Joel Fergie met Hombre 2 years ago when the Shire commissioned the artist to paint the stories of Cloncurry.
The landscape. Hombre's been a really big part in helping me, you know, learn about this area and learn about cultural aspects that are really, you know, unique to this area. Having those opportunities and those experiences, just like, it's a dream come true, really.
You obviously become pretty good mates.
Yeah, adopted him. Well, now he goes bush by himself, so... Yeah.
Since the bush started calling Joel, he's painted more than 50 murals in rural and remote towns. This time, he's been commissioned to tell the story of the ravaging monsoon and floods.
I think art's a good way of, I guess, addressing things that aren't easy to talk about, and also, like, you know, giving people a sense of hope as well.
It seems art opens conversation and brings people together. On the other side of town, I'm catching up again with Susan from Sisters of the North to hear about her latest project.
Gosh, I've got paint everywhere. It looks like a...
Geez, I hope yours is better than mine, Susan.
I don't know.
Are you a bit of a secret artist?
Absolutely not. This is the first time I've touched a paintbrush since I've left school, as you can tell. But let's not compare today.
No, let's not compete.
Be free with the paintbrush. Use your wrist.
So where did this idea come from?
Oh, it was just, these are the people that have backed me and the Sisters of the North and what we've been trying to do. And this was my way of saying thanks.
It's like a touch of colour.
Ruth herself, this is a new business venture for her.
Yeah.
And I just think to have these sort of creative opportunities, perfect.
Ruth, why did you start the Sip and Paint business?
I love women coming together. It's just my thing, especially in the bush. You feel isolated. I certainly felt isolated after the monsoon, and you just feel, it just gives you a sense of, joy.
How did your family go after the flooding?
We lost about 65–70% of our cattle. A lot of ladies here in the same boat. Everybody just gets together, and it's just how it is.
And how did the Sisters of the North charity help you?
Sisters of the North filled a gap that was much needed. You know, to buy those little things that made you feel normal again, made you go back into the community, spend money locally, be together. You know, it's just those little things. They also sponsor some really unique events that have made a big difference in the recovery.
I guess it's not all about the painting. It is called Paint and Sip, so I think I'm better at that part. Cheers.
Cheers.
I can see the shared experiences of these women bring them together and make them stronger. Back at the rodeo school, it's time to put new skills to the test. Sisters of the North funding also helped make this possible. They have a saying in rodeo: no one is ever truly prepared. It just becomes your turn.
You hung on right to the end, past 8 seconds, I imagine, or?
Yeah, no, it wasn't too bad.
Did you want to let go to get off, or?
Yeah, well, I would have liked to have got off it a bit earlier, but that's for sure.
Life in the outback isn't for the faint-hearted. Mother Nature makes you earn your keep. And I think there really is something to that saying. They breed them tough in the bush. They learn from a young age. You get knocked down, dust yourself off, take stock, and get back in the saddle. They also learn
sometimes you need a mate to help you back up.
I'll wait for you, old friend. It's been so long again. And as we travel on, so I'm told it won't be long. But know this, brother, soon we'll be back home.
We see these young fellas getting together and the mateship amongst them, the support they gave for each other. They go home, they know to keep physically fit now, and just as important to have that mental fitness as well. So something to look forward to for them. Yeah, I think that's a golden thing.
So usually a Broncos, I think it's a bit of an Aussie way, like show up for your mates, show up for yourself and have a go.
I see you safely there, for I know your dreams are near. But know this, brother, soon we'll be back home.
They're creative in their independence and very resilient in their existence. They just expect that in the way of life. You fall off the horse, you get back on it again. Something goes wrong, you start again. For the majority of people, if you're looking for an easy answer, you don't even come north of Winton, let alone Longreach.
Next time, Backroads heads to Victoria's wheat belt, to Rapanyup and Minyup, small towns with serious pulling power.
Everybody was, oh, there's Eric Penner up on the roof of the hotel.
And a farmer who built a giant museum.
Oh my God, you kept everything.
Tried to.
In silo country, the ordinary can amaze you.
Nothing could prepare you for this.